It's been too long between visits to see Duncan, but I've brought all my little babies in here. They've been abused hard for the last couple of years. He sorted me out last time. He can up the drag, and that's a big thing for me with my mangrove jack, getting a big smooth drag that can take that pressure. So I crank that up and punish these things. But last time I gave him 3 Microrados and they came back smooth, mint, and just ready for that skip casting and all the punishment that I give him. So let's do it again. In this video, guys, what I'll do, I'll see if I can pull some tips out for you for what Dunk does when he's maintaining a reel and looking after it for people. Some of the tricks you might have for looking after it yourself so you can get more life out of it, and maybe get some idea on what some of the better reels are that you can get after or buy if you're getting into bait casting or spinning gear. And yeah, we'll see what he's got to say.
I do a lot of reels.
Yeah.
Do a lot of reels.
Did we say thousands? Did you say?
Yeah, oh yeah. Annually, I'd be into the thousands.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing it?
Best part of 20 years now. There is not a better drag material on the market at the moment. Just because I want them to have a better product.
Yeah.
Because what's on the box and what happens is 2 different things.
Right.
You know, you just spending money you don't really need to spend.
Yeah, right.
And what I'm looking for is a multi-disc drag.
Okay.
Because the more discs I got, the more drag I can generate. Yeah.
Easy 20-25% better.
Better drag.
High, right at the high end.
Biggest thing they want to do is periodically take that, undo that, take that cover off.
Yeah.
Right, pull your spool out.
Yeah.
Okay, because the biggest thing is you get salt and corrosion here.
Those little nicks, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, and what happens is you go to try and adjust your brake blocks or something, you can't even get that undone.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's just frozen up solid. When it goes wrong, because it will, can I get the part?
Okay.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Because there's no point going and buying a $700 bait caster that does 2 seasons because you haven't looked after it, and then you can't buy parts for it. You know, every brand has its own little idiosyncrasy, but
that's problem number 1. So there's some shit that I've got to show you that they just get hammered, mate, because I just thrash the f*** out of them.
Right.
So there's one. Oh. So how many are there, man? 1, 2. They're not all complete packages. They've been abused. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I got one in at Shimano. I got a new HG in at Shimano. I don't even know what's in there, what works or not. Oh, shit. So the ones I like, I've got a few 5s, but I like the 7s. That one you pimped up for me was a beast. Remember that? You gave me that. It's still got a sticker on it.
Oh, yeah?
And you put the pimped handle on it. And
11, what, 1.7, and we're in 1.9.
Yeah.
9.19. 2 years, I told you 2 years.
Yeah. So
see, that still goes all right.
That one's still the goods, mate. And I use that one more than anything.
Yeah.
Pump the shit out of it. But ever since you gave it to me, the drag, more drag, and I've thrashed the f out of that thing.
Big jacks on it?
Yep. Still sweet, mate. So I don't think there's really anything wrong with that one.
That's all right. Yep. It'll be a straight drag nut.
Yeah, because I'm tightening it so hard.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I'm just like, strip.
Well, 2 things. It's either the main shaft or the nut.
Under load, it's like kink. It's like you feel the gears go catching right at the same point.
This one's got something in it.
Yeah.
You can feel, if you put your thumb on it and wind it.
Oh, that's it. That's the one. Yeah, that's it. You feel it just goes fucking kink.
Yeah, because what you got in here, you've got sacrificial gears for your worm.
Yeah.
And they're just plastic.
Right.
So if one of them starts to friggin' fold or anything, it's normally that drama. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we sold them all by 1.
Okay. Well, whatever you reckon we can do is epic, mate. Yeah. How am I wrecking that? When it goes like that, what have I done? Just over tighten?
I'll show you what it is. It's literally, mate, like dudes who fish New Guinea and that, mate, are tightening these things for pair of pliers.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to get more drag. So a lot of the time, it just comes down to a lot of it is they're either an alloy or a brass nut on an alloy or brass shaft.
Yeah.
And they're not normally the same material.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So one will always pop. You know, when you got those two sort of dissimilar metals, one's softer than the other.
Yeah.
So it's inevitable that it's going to happen.
Getting embarrassed to shit out of me now because it's going to be corroded and in there.
But yeah, that's
that, eh?
I'd say so.
It's just... Yeah. It's not the first time I've done it.
Yep.
That's why I'm...
See, now I'm up the shaft a bit. It felt all right. But this is the problem when you get old. Yeah, see, it's popped the thread off it. See how there's no thread there?
Right. Yeah.
Right, so...
There might be another one of them in there.
Yeah, that shaft there's all right. Yeah. So, you know. I've done it with some Daiwas where a different model will have a stainless shaft.
Yeah.
And then it might be longer or something, but I put it in the lathe and I make it the same.
Okay.
So instead of having an alloy shaft, you go to a stainless shaft, you know, which holds a lot more pressure. But the reason they use alloys and all that sort of shit is to get the weight down.
Right, okay.
Because you're holding that all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's one of the reasons I bought these Corrados. For me, they're really light. Yeah. So if, you know, you do 2-3 days just flicking hard, you tend to last a bit better than with my...
Well, the other thing is too, you also get used to a style of reel. Yeah. You know, every brand has its own little idiosyncrasy, but like when you cast a reel constantly and it's the same model, it's the same thing if you've set it up the same. Yeah. But if you go from a Shimano to a Daiwa, it'll be different. Yeah. If you know what I mean. You
start to feel that little bit of difference.
Yeah, you do. Especially if you know, like you'd be the same, mate. I've come home, mate, my shoulder's killing me. Yeah. And it's just from friggin' casting, you know.
I want to quiz you on a couple of things that might help people understand their reels a bit better. The pitfalls, like if someone goes out and is looking to buy a bait casting reel. What sort of price range should they be expecting to look at, and what sort of quality are they going to get? Is it like, I know it's a really broad question, but what kind of things should they be looking for?
If I go to buy a bait caster, I'm looking for, it doesn't matter what you buy, at the end of the day, it's like cars, it's like trucks, it's like everything. When it goes wrong, because it will, can I get the parts? Right, okay. That's number one. Yeah. Because there's no point going and buying a $700 bait caster that does 2 seasons because you haven't looked after it, and then you can't buy parts for it. Okay, right. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's really interesting, really good point.
And for me, that's one of the biggest things there is. Yeah. Especially being a reel repairer. Yeah. I mean, you got 13, you got all these other brands coming on the market. Yeah. That's all well and good in the States. Yeah. And they got the huge population and they got all their outlets, but here we got one dealer. Yeah. And it's just changed hands. Classic example. Just changed hands. I rang one, haven't got the parts you need. Right. 2, I rang the new dealer, we're not ready to go yet. Okay. So all of a sudden poor old mate's waiting 4, 5, 6 weeks. Yeah. Because he can't get parts. Yeah. Unless you want to import them from the States. Yeah. But then it's, you know, Aussie dollar against American dollar, it's freight, it's, you know. So that for me would be number one. Yeah. So your major players, I hate to say it, but your major players is where I would start. Yeah. Pick a brand. Yeah. Whether it be Daiwa or Shimano. Yeah. Or whether you want to go 13 or a Kuma. Yeah. Or whoever it might be. But I mean, in the marketplace today, parts supply, Shimano basically beats everyone pants down. Yeah. As in time to get your turnaround and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, cool. Okay, well that's really Daiwa's getting a lot better than what they have been. Yeah, that's what I'd heard, and that's one of the reasons I started using Shimano, just because my brother was like Shimano hellbent as a kid. Yep. That's why I started fishing them. Well, as you know, I'm an Abu nut. Right, so I love my Abus, and I've always loved drum reels. Yeah. You know, because I can bang more line on them. Yeah. So I can fish from an estuary to basically 80 metres of water. Yeah. You know, but since I've got into more and more lure casting, yes, I've got low profiles.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
You know, so I've got like your Abu Revo salty stage, and I've got a couple of Daiwas and things like that. Yeah. But it just comes down to personal preference.
Yeah.
You know,
what's some of the stuff that if people are they buy their bait caster, and they've spent $200-400 on it, and they start using it in saltwater, what's the basic maintenance that they can do?
Biggest thing they want to do is periodically undo that, take that cover off. Yeah. Right, pull your spool out.
Yeah.
Okay, because the biggest thing is you get salt and corrosion here.
Those little nicks, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, and what happens is you go to try and adjust your brake blocks or something, you can't even get that undone.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's just frozen up solid.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things on bait cars, keeping your worm lubricated and clean.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of oil, you can take that cap off, put a bit of oil in there. You can take your spool out.
Yeah. Just a drop of oil on that pin.
Yeah, on your pinion.
Yeah.
And the other thing is a lot of reels, well, it's a bit stuck, but a lot of reels these days, the spool itself is holed or ported.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and they do that with a lot of reels to get the weight down.
Ah, right.
Right,
yeah,
and that's their main reason they do it.
Yeah.
The problem with porting a spool is we all use braid. Braid retains water. So after 30, 40, 50 casts, that water, it's conceivable that it's got all the way through to the centre. Yeah. Then you're flinging your spool, so that water's now flinging out.
Yeah.
Your pinion bearing cops it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The amount of pinion bearings I do is phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Easy fix.
Right.
Just wrap a piece of tape over the holes before you put your braid on.
Yep. Okay.
You know? And if you use tape, you don't need backing.
Yeah. Okay.
You can run braid straight on the spool.
Yeah. Wow, okay. One of the things that you've done for me over the years is, by the way, when you pimp that, I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to want to go away from the standard thing. That has been epic for me.
The handle?
The handle, I just love it, mate. I've just got used to that, using that, even
just the
grip on it. Because you get WD-40 insect repellent on those handles.
Oh, they just bugger up
and they just go.
The EVA is so much better.
Yeah. But you, when you sent me back the first, you did 3 for me at that first hit, and you sent me back the drag, like not the standard drag, because I was like, mate, what can you do for the drag in a jack reel? And you're like, there's some tricks I got up my sleeve. You sent it back to me. I got easy 20-25% better drag. Right at the high end. Still
see, I use a lot of them. I just love those sorts of Shimano do longer series handles. I do stock some handles that are longer series they come off different models. Yeah. You know, Shimano for years and years and years has a different size to Abu. Yeah. So Abu Daiwa Akuma the same, Shimano 13 the same.
Right.
But Shimano brought out the new Tranx 200, same size shaft and handle as Abu and
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But they do a 112mm handle, which is a pretty long bloody handle.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can go down the track. The other thing that Shimano do is knobs. So you can go and buy all the knobs like from Stellas or from Sustains or and they're all neoprene and you know, and it works out cheaper than RCS of Daiwa.
Yeah.
You know, so that. But the biggest, getting back to your point of what would I look for?
Yeah.
One of the first things, if I want to buy a bait caster, right? What do I want it to do?
Yeah.
How much drag do I want to generate?
Yeah.
Because what's on the box and what happens is 2 different things.
Right.
That's reality.
Okay.
What I do is I look up everybody now, Shimano, Daiwa, they all list their schematics online.
Yeah.
So I go and look at the schematic.
Okay.
Right, and what I'm looking for is a multi-disc drag.
Okay.
Because the more discs I got, the more drag I can generate.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of them now are coming out with like a Belleville washer disc onto a single drag washer.
Yeah.
They're pretty good too.
Okay.
Because, you know, they're generating a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But some of them, what you get's what you get. You can't get a lot more.
Yeah.
What I do with a lot of your drag washers is I'll lap them flat.
Yeah.
your steel plates.
Yeah.
And then I bead blast them.
Okay.
But it's with a super fine bead, right? And what that does is mate, you imagine two flat surfaces like mirrors. There's no bite.
Yeah.
So what you need is something that's got bite.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll bead blast like your face of your gear and your washer.
Yeah.
So you get a lot more bite, and funnily enough, it makes it a heap smoother.
Real smooth. Yeah. Right at that high end. Whereas if you see it on people's videos when they get there, and it's like and it's not even sticky drag. It's just the drag that they've got.
It's just the way it is.
Turned right up. Whereas the ones that I've had for the last 2 years now, man, it's just been super smooth, and it's just like.
See, the other thing is too, a lot of the manufacturers, they'll put a really good top drag washer.
Yeah.
But their base drag washer will be crap.
Okay.
It'll be like fibre washer, like a tap washer. Dyno are bad for it.
Yeah.
You know, but when you break drag and that gear's turning, that base washer is part of it.
Yeah.
So if it's sticky and jerky, then it's still conceivable that your whole drag becomes jerky.
Yeah. Is there like the Carbon Tex I've used, I've just replaced it over the years and put Carbon Tex in there.
Yep.
Because I was told that that's, a few guys that I spoke to that said that's good at a higher end drag setting, fully cranked down. Is there a better drag? So for the jacks, I've got the Carbon Tex in here.
Yep.
When I'm fishing for the flatties, if I'm using swim bet,
Carbon Tex the whole time. There is not a better drag material on the market at the moment that I've come across.
Yeah, okay.
Penn did a stuff called CT100, which was the forerunner to Carbon Tex.
Okay.
And Carbon Tex is definitely better wet than dry.
Right. Okay, that was one of the questions I had for you, because I've heard, you know, it doesn't really matter what you do.
You get slightly higher drag pressure wet.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things with the wet drag. One is and it does come down to the grease or the lube you use to make the drag wet.
Yeah.
Whether it be cows, whether it be... I have my own thing I use.
Yeah.
But a high temperature.
Okay.
You know, it's got to be high temperature because, I mean, funnily enough, when that drag's really pinging, that creates a lot of temperature quickly in a small area. You know? So you want things with high flash points. I mean, I watched the thing Mythbusters once.
Yeah.
Mate, they had a pen reel. And, you know, because there was a myth going around that the reel caught on fire with a big marlin, you know?
Yeah.
Well, mate, they tied it to a motorbike. They did all sorts. They could not... Mate, they destroyed reels, but they could not get it to catch on fire.
Yeah.
So there is a point of how hot a reel will get.
One of the other things you did for my brother when he sent his HGs in back in the day, he was you were like, how fast do you want the reel?
Oh yeah.
And so when we got that back and it was super fast, we're casting and it was just skipping, it was just straight underneath the thing, and he got used to it, tried to get it. So yeah, what are you doing there? You're just doing...
So I clean the bearings out.
Yeah. I
ultrasonically clean them.
Yeah.
And then it's a different grade of lube.
Yeah, okay. Sweet.
So I use a product called Rocket Fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, it comes from the UK. It was originally designed for distance casting.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right. So
for like surf casting.
Yeah.
Like
so these guys are casting, 200 to 300 meters.
Yeah.
You know, so you imagine like the reel I built you, the Abu, one of them.
Yeah.
Getting banged, and it's just, mate, it's like I've got to make casting one of them 220 metres constantly.
Right. Okay.
You know, on about a 13, 14 foot rod, but it comes down to your lubricant.
Okay, yeah.
Bearing in mind, when you're doing that high-end casting, you'd be changing sets of bearings. You don't probably get half a dozen casts, you've got to change a set of bearings, you know, because a lot of the time I find the standard bearings cleaned with the right lube for the longevity is not a problem.
Okay.
You know, yes, the other bearings might be a little bit smoother or not quite as noisy, but you pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, you just spending money you don't really need to spend.
Yeah, right. Okay.
You know, and people say, what about full ceramic? Well, full ceramic, 1 is noisy, 2 is it's designed to be dry, 3 is they're bloody expensive. We're talking really expensive, full ceramic. Ceramic hybrid's not so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. I've had different ones in the past, and the standard ones have been fine for me over the years. I've had that for 2 years. Thrashed the crap out of it. This one, Still good. Do you sort of recommend that they get them serviced every couple of years, or
it depends. It depends on the individual.
Yeah.
The funny thing is like I've seen reels come back to me within 12 months that are disgusting.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, this dude should only do it every 6 months or 8 months.
Yeah.
Yet I've seen other reels come back to me 3 years later and they're still pretty mint.
Yeah. Okay.
So it comes down to how the individual looks after it, cleans it.
Yeah.
All of the above. You know what I mean?
So with the like a jack fisherman, what should they be doing during the off season just to look after their drag? Is there stuff that they can be doing? Simple stuff.
Well, simple stuff is back your drag off.
Back your drag off.
Make sure it's off. Spin the handle. Make sure the plates are separated.
Like that's it.
That's it.
Put it away in your sweep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would advise anybody who's not going to fish a reel for months.
Yeah.
Pull it out every few weeks or monthly.
Yeah.
Go through the routine.
Yeah.
Of what it does.
Just get it moving.
Just have it moving because all you need is 1 grain of salt in the wrong place.
Yeah.
It grows, it rusts, things are static. That's it. It's over.
Yeah. Okay.
It's seized.
All right. And if there's some points on someone's like, oh, you know, I want to do a little bit of my own maintenance, and they go to the shops, like someone's bought their bait caster and like, I can see real lube there, some real oil and some real grease. What should they be doing to it themselves?
Oh, mate, well, like I said, they can undo this cover, pull out the spool. They can, you 1 spool bearings here, 1 spool bearings there. They can lubricate those spool bearings.
Yeah.
And you only need a drop. Too much oil is going to slow your spool down.
Yep.
Same as not enough.
Yeah.
You know, then you got your pinion bearing. They can put a drop there.
Yeah.
Handles here where they pivot, a drop and a drop. Take your cap off. There's generally a bearing there or a bush, a bit of a drop there.
Sweet. For someone who's watching who's got spinning reels, bait casting reels, is there anything that you don't do that you haven't done? You basically do everything, don't you? Game reels, everything, mate.
Electric reels, everything.
Yeah. How many reels do you reckon you do a season in a 12-month period?
A 12-month period? Jeez, I've never added it up. But
be in the hundreds, eh?
It'd be in the thousands.
Oh, right. Jesus.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I would average, say if I average 6 a day, and I'm doing it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So.
There you go. 1,500, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
But then I can get busy where I'm averaging 10 a day.
Yeah.
And I might do that for a few months.
Yeah.
It just depends what's going on. I did add up once over about I think the first 10 years I was doing it, what I did, and I was over 20,000.
Right.
So.
Epic. All right, mate. Well.
Because when I do shops, mate, I write everyone down. And that's just counting shops. That's not counting private wall goods.
Ah, right. So people, this is what happened to me when I came and saw you, but people can just send their reels in.
Yep.
You'll do the repairs.
Do plenty of
the
mail
full
order.
Service. Send it back out. You send it back out to me with the old bits there.
Yep.
New thing fully wrapped, everything. Yeah.
You know exactly what went on.
Yeah. And they were awesome. This one, look at this. This needs a bit of love. They've been ruined, mate. All right, well, we'll see how we go.
Fucking photos of reels you can pay your steel. It's like mag seals.
What about your spinning reels? What's your pick? Are you Abu through and through with both?
Spin reels, personally, I don't like to friggin' really say any brand, but if I had to go out and buy a spin reel tomorrow, mate, I'd buy a Shimano. Yeah. Bearings, there's no shortage of bearings. I've stocked like 63 sizes. I did a bearing order today. That was like $500.
Yeah, that's a really good point, what you were saying about the turnaround time for people, because that pisses people off. They send something away and they're still waiting 6 weeks later going, the season started.
Yeah,
well,
the biggest thing I try and say is be proactive.
Yeah.
As in, think about what... Here's a good one for you. The geckos are starting to friggin' talk.
Yeah.
Jack's coming.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know? But what I find is, I get a lot of guys who'll come and go, oh, mate, I've got a fishing trip next week. Mate, there's not a lot I'm going to be able to do for you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at any time, like, I'm pushed out to nearly 3 weeks at the moment.
Yeah.
I just got that much on.
Yeah.
But
that's also because you're super reasonable, but
yeah,
I reckon.
Yeah.
What are you charging for services now?
Depends what it is.
Yeah.
Right, but like bait casters, I charge $50.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of spinning reels will be around 50, 55. Bigger reels like 7,000 sort of size to about your 20,000 size is like 60.
Yeah.
After that, it's per agreement.
Yeah,
like doing game reels and that, like, and electrics. Electrics are about 120 bucks.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I do is or if a reel's really bad. If a reel's really bad, I go to hourly rate. Hourly rate's $60 an hour. Yeah. Plus GST. So yeah. But a lot of the time I don't charge people. You know, I just go 120 bucks, 2 hours. You know? Yeah. And it comes down to really how bad a reel is. Yeah. I mean, if a reel's looked after and it's just bang it apart, do what you need to do, put it together. Yeah. Happy days. Yes. But when you start breaking screws, having a drill, having a, you know, all of a sudden you're blowing out 2.5 hours. Yeah, yeah. You know, so at some point you go, well, I'm doing this for a living. I can't do it for nothing. Yeah, that's right. You know. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Most of the bait casters that you get in from the guys that are jack fishing, that. Most of the guys that I've been like, mate, he's so reasonable, really happy with you. It's sort of like around that $50 mark.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
And then there's some parts, whatever.
Mate, most bait casters, I can stick to that $50 mark, you know, and whatever parts might happen. Because, I mean, even if I've got to bang it right out and ultrasonically clean it a couple of times and do a couple of things, it's still in that hour period sort of thing. So, sweet. You know,
well, that's good.
And the fishing fraternity, you know, I fish, you know, so you're just trying to look after people a little bit. Yeah, yeah. You know, because from what I gather, you know, mate, there's been a lot of guys out there who just take advantage of people when it comes to doing reels. Yeah. Okay. I think you were one of them.
It happened. Well, it happened maybe once, and that's right. That's why when you came to sponsor MJA, I was like, brilliant. There's a reel repair guy, and then I spoke to Maddie and Sean, and they were like, mate, you guys just got to go and send them to him, see what happens, see what comes back. And then it was really just the high-end drag that I was like, epic, this is going to be a game
that changer. There, you were flat out making out that was a fishing reel in the Savo.
Right, yeah.
It was that cruddy. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was pretty bad. Yeah. But, But the thing is, there is a point. People will let it get too far. Yeah. But a lot of the time, things can be brought back from the brink.
Yeah, that's what happened with mine, eh? I remember when I said them to you, like, Johnny, you got to look after your reels, man. And then you sent them back.
Like, there you go. Wow. It's Tula.
Yeah, good stuff.
Right, so, Carbon Tex top washer.
Yeah.
That's the base washer.
Yeah, yeah.
Pus.
Yeah, okay.
No good. Yeah. Hard. Not exactly flat.
Yeah.
That's here. Right, between that and that, that's your top drag. So that's all clamped.
Yeah, yeah.
So when your drag works, that gear's got to spin. Yeah. You know, so that comes into play.
Yeah. Just replace. So you'd replace them with the Carbon Tex.
Yep, straight up.
Yeah.
Even if people don't ask for it, I just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just because I want them to have a better product.
Yeah. Okay.
Sweet. You know, it's just a little thing. It's like $10.
Yeah.
What's $10 in the scheme of fishing?
Yeah.
You know, a bad cast.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Sweet, mate. That's awesome.
But that's the sort of thing that I see constantly. You know. Then you get the problem of my favourite Stella or my favourite friggin' dialer or whatever, and you know they've let it go that bit long, and you need a few parts, and guess what? Obsolete.
Ooh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
So people have got to be aware that things do become obsolete.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
That's what I was sort of starting to become concerned with these.
Well, see, they're still selling that stuff.
Yeah, okay. Sweet.
So while that's happening, because under Australian consumer law, I can't remember if it's 5 or 7 years, but that's all they got to keep spare parts for.
Right, yeah.
From a model coming out.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Wow.
And that's a good side of Abu. See, the thing with Abu is, those reels there, same parts in the 1970s.
Wow, right.
So the gears are the same, all the internals are the same. Frames might have changed a bit, covers might have changed a bit, handles are the same, all your key parts are still the same.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Very versatile.
Go wrap this up, mate, and I'll get out of your hair.